Lee, it was so funny. You said we've created that environment of peace, and the first thing that went through my head was, oh boy, I'm going to shatter that. And so then you said, oh, he's going to shatter it. I'm like, oh, good, he's going to shatter it. Listen, it is an honor to be here. I am very grateful to share my message and my story. And I have so much to say. I have said this probably 500 times in a couple of years, and I said to Lee, there's something different about your group, Lee. There's something different, and I actually have no idea what I'm going to say. I have no notes, and even though I've done it 500 times, there's something different coming out of me today. And I want to share the message, and that message, before I get into my story, is that your mission is to discover your purpose. Because who you are is not what you do. It is not your job title. It is not your gender. It is not your position. Who you are is not what you do. You must discover your purpose. Number two, you must shatter the illusions that are putting you in a false reality and limiting your power and potential, which means number three, you must discover your light. You see, you are pure energy. That energy is photons, and photons is light. You are a light being. You came from the world of light. You are energy in form, which I call the world of form, and you're going to return to the world of light, but the world of light surrounds us. So I have to share my story now about how this left-brain nuclear engineer, advanced math major, distinguished graduate from Annapolis, advisor to presidents and royal family members got to here. Okay? I mean, come on, I was important, right? I was much taller. So it's a good thing I'm limited on this stage and can't step off because those of you in the front row are safe from getting hit by bodily fluids. Because I am going to apologize for not apologizing for being my authentic self, okay? I am not. Thank you. And you do not need to apologize for it. You do not need to hold yourself back on saying your truth because that is your light. That is your power. That is your gift. That's the damn thing we're afraid of, right? How many people have seen the Frozen movie, right? Hey, sure, throwing that, I'm not afraid of the cold anyway as she's charging up the mountains, or Hercules, or Odysseus, or any, Lord of the Rings, The Matrix, Neo, Harry Potter. It's the universal hero's journey. It's what Joseph Campbell's talking about. We got to go through these damn cycles where we get beaten and tested with temptation and, forged in fire. I love that logo, okay? And when you get there, you are on fire. That is your power. That is light. That is real. And I'm going to tell you about that. So, okay, take a deep breath. Okay. 3 acts. Act 1, all that stuff I was in the ordinary world, submarine officer, 12 years of reactor kinetics, physics, metallurgy, thermodynamics, weapon systems, underwater acoustics. I have so much left brain stuff in my head that I walked with a port list, okay? Until God broke it. Now, I say God, I say source. God, I grew up as a Roman Catholic, and I thought, God was floating on a cloud, and, hell was in the center of the earth, and I was born in sin, and all that stuff. Well, you know what? I don't think hell's in the center of the earth, because ExxonMobil would have hit it with a drill bit by now. And they would have released all the goblins, like in, what was that, Ghostbusters movie, right? And it'd be a mess. And, God isn't floating on a cloud, because after all millennium, he would be awful squishy by now. So there's all of these things that I call faulty, limited, outdated programs, or flops. And these flops are stored in our cells, and there's some of them that are thousands of years old, like a woman can't be a priest. I asked a theologian, because I've interviewed the major theologians in the world on my CNN show, and I asked him, why can't a woman be a priest? Well, God talked to Jesus. I said, yeah, tell me more. Well, I said, he'd tell me, so God talked to Jesus, men are divine and women aren't divine? Well, I didn't say that. No, yes, you did say that. And because of this somehow huge belief that women aren't divine, they can't be a priest, and priests get in all kinds of trouble. You see what I mean? This is this unbelievable limiting belief that we have in the world. It's in the collective consciousness. And we are destroying those things here. We're destroying that dogma, you know? All of these boxes. Anytime somebody puts you in a box, a Republican box, a Democratic box, you know, a man box, a woman box, blow it up, okay? Blow it up. Because you are a being of light with infinite potential. I've got 4 things I'm going to show you here that are unbelievable. You know, miracles, world first, #1 inventions, and all that. Right in that little table right there. You know, and I did that. Actually, I didn't do that. The old me thought I did that. All right? But the new me knows that I am a co-creator. When you can understand and embrace that you are co-creating your life, we are co-creating our life. We are all collective thought transducers and receivers of information. And when we set the music and we set the tone and we set the prayer, we are making it happen. Because Einstein said, when we think about things, the things we think about change. When we think about things, the things we think about change. That wasn't a philosophical, pithy statement. Okay? Einstein was saying when we think about things, our thoughts change the molecular structure of those things. So we are creating our reality. All right, so let me get into my story. I'm going to go fast on this one. We do have a workshop this afternoon, and we have plenty of time to talk about more of these details. I'll tell you about that in a few minutes when I'm done. So here I am. I'm this important guy doing all these important things. And in 1985, I was refueling their nuclear reactor in a submarine. It was like a Tom Clancy book. You know, the submarine was in dry dock, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning. There's fog and lights shining, and the submarine's cut to pieces like Swiss cheese. And I was the officer in charge, and I'm walking around, and a crane came, and it was going to hit me. And I had a nanosecond to decide if I wanted to fall in a 90-foot hole or get hit. And I turn up, and I get hit, and it hits me. Fortunately, I had a hard hat on, but it snaps my neck back and it crushes my vertebrae. So I had to, you know, I was in traction. That was really bad, but that's not the story. I finally heal and I leave the Navy after 11 years. I join Exxon. I leave Exxon after 10 years. I become one of 4 global energy partners, and I'm in charge of 1/3 of the world from India all the way through Indonesia, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Philippines, up to China, Japan, Korea. So isn't that funny? I'm one of 4 global energy partners, right? So at that time, I think I'm supposed to be doing oil, gas, nuclear power, coal, and all that, which I do. But by January of 2000, something bad happens. Very bad. My neck has been deteriorating. For 6 months, I'm starting to be in a lot of pain, and I'm taking pain pills. And by January 18th, I am completely oblivious to the fact that I'm taking a bottle of pain pills a week, that I have lost all sensation and feeling down my left arm, and I'm in incredible pain. I mean, I'm busy, right? I'm important. I'm doing outsourcing projects and talking to prime ministers and writing papers for U.S. presidential candidates on the future of energy and things like that. Remember? Important. You know? I can't stop. I got to keep going. I got to build up the money for the 401k retirement plan so I can stop and retire someday, right? You know, life is not a destination called Station 401k. So that's a major flop. There's a lot of people, and some of us, that it is programmed into us that we are supposed to stop working, retire, and then die. You know, and we've even put an age limit on it. It's ridiculous. So I put my arms in the air on the morning of January 18th, and I stretch, and I go like that, and the last thing that was holding my neck together pops, and it twists my spinal column around, and it feels like somebody is trying to split me in half with an axe. And I was in the bathroom, and I scream, and I put my arms up, and let's say this is the door here, the shower was here, I turned here, and I walked out, and the next thing I know is I'm out of my body. My body is over there. I'm, 8, 10 feet away, and the essence of me, I don't have a body, right? It's just the essence of me. And I watched this thing collapse like a rag doll. It was just like, a robot or something. Somebody pulled the plug out, and it flops onto the bureau, and then it flops on the floor, and my wife comes running in, she's crying, and they call an ambulance and all that sort of stuff. And I just, I'm just observing. And I go through a tunnel, I go through a beautiful gateway, unbelievable, spectacular, amazing things. I go through a wormhole, and I'm giving you the real short story, okay? And so they take my body to Mount Elizabeth Hospital, and my wife wants to medevac me, and the doctor's like laughing. This guy's not all in one part. He can't go on a plane and go to the United States to be fixed. And so they take bone out of my hip, and they do a double surgery, and they cut me open here, and they put the bone, and they replace my vertebrae about 3 inches in my neck. And so, I get off the morphine drip in about 14 days, and about 3 weeks later, I get shipped home. My home, they make an upstairs a hospital room and an upstairs bedroom, and so there I am, and I can't walk, I can't talk, I'm completely immobilized in braces. I have no feeling of nerves in my neck because those were cut, which makes shaving a little tricky. I have no feeling down my arms, and I'm a bloody mess. I'm a double A. I'm not even a double A. I'm a triple A battery. Go, the Energizer. And make more money, get more promotions, all that sort of stuff. Not that I was greedy or anything, but I guess I thought that's what I was supposed to do. That's what society taught me to do, and I did it great. And so here I am. I'm laying in bed, and all I can do is stare at the. I don't want to hit the microphone, but just imagine these braces. All I can do is stare at the plaster and the ceiling, and I can smell all the flowers because there's lots of flowers and there's cards all around the room. And my kids come in with my wife, and my kids are 3, Grant, my youngest son, 3, Taylor, 6, Madison, 9. And we're in Singapore, and they come sit on the bed, and they tell me stories about going to Australia and the koala bears. You remember that, Dad? I was like, no, I think I was doing a merger during that trip, And then they tell me a story. Well, you remember when we went to the Great Wall? I was like, no, I didn't go to the Great Wall with you. And tears are starting to roll down my cheeks. And I just leave, just go away. And they leave, and I'm almost crying now, even though, how many times I've told this. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? I mean, I am living to work. My family goes on these trips, and I do projects? Why am I doing this? Why? What is wrong with me? Why am I doing this? There's something wrong. I'm not happy. And now I can't even do anything. So I say I shout this silent prayer, because really, remember, I can't talk too good. My trachea wasn't in the right place, and they said, don't worry, it'll wiggle back into place, I'm like, okay, great, thanks, Doc. So I shout to God, why did you do this to me? And in less than 3 minutes, the door handle starts jiggling, and my little 3-year-old Grant comes in the room, and he goes, Daddy, you work too hard. And then he leaves. I'm like, Grant. And so the next day, I say another prayer. I'm like, oh, God, I'm really getting pretty angry. I'm a little fired up. I work too hard. What am I supposed to do? Jiggle, jiggle. A couple of minutes later, Grant comes in, and he says, Daddy, you need to play. And he leaves. I'm like, Now, most people would say, wow, isn't that beautiful? God's answered his prayers, the universe, he's connected, all that. No, not me. I didn't decide to believe. I'm this, left brain guy, remember? Port list. So I'm like, what do? I calculate the probability. I do the math. What's the probability of Grant coming in the room, any random 3-minute period of time? What's the probability that Grant's got 40 statements, and what's the chance that one of those statements answers a question you didn't hear, right? And I calculated it was 1 in 1,000 for once, and now it happened twice, and this is a complex polynomial equation, okay? I didn't make that up. That's what this is. So this is what 1 in a million. Now, most people don't know how to do this, and I'm going to stamp my foot and say this is actually really important. Now, I got to tell you, I had this teacher in Annapolis. He was a double engineer, electrical engineer, double E teacher, and he would write on the board. And one day he's writing, he stomped his foot. And then when we took the test, we realized he was stomping his foot when what was on the board was going to be on the test. So when I stomp my foot, I'm like telling you, this is really important, okay? If you learn to calculate probabilities, I know this, my wife thinks I'm very strange, okay? She says, you are the strangest man I've ever met. But when you learn to calculate probabilities, you start to realize that events and things that are happening around you are not an accident. They are not random. And when you understand the magnitude of the probability, you start to realize the magnitude of what that synchronicity meant to you. And then you start to wake up and say, whoa, I need to pay attention. So this is 1 in 1,000 times 1 in 1,000. It's 1 in a million. Oh, that's okay, that's a lot, but you know, small lucky chance, right? Luck. So the next day I say a prayer and I'm thinking, okay, God, I'm starting to feel better. I work too hard and I need to play. Well, I mean, can you give me some kind of better answer? I mean, okay, what do I do about all that? And so, jiggle, jiggle. Grant comes in, and he's bouncing around, going like this, dancing, and he can't say his R's come out W's. So instead of saying remember, he's saying we member. So he's bouncing around the room going, we member, we member, we member, we member. And I'm like, we member what, Grant? We member, you know, I can't even say it. I'm going to tell you. That was it, you see. That was the calling. That was the calling. Remember who I am. Remember where I came from. Remember why I'm here. And of course, it was now 1 in a billion chance of my son answering 3 random prayers, which he never heard, with an answer that was like hitting me over the head with a brick. You know, 1 in a billion. So that puts me on this quest. I get better. How are we doing on time? Okay. I learned how to walk and talk. My father-in-law calls me up one day. He's in Florida. He's 88 years old. He has been shot twice in Iwo Jima, had several heart attacks and strokes, and survived living with my mother-in-law for 30 years. And he calls up and he says, how you doing, John? Because my name is Jonathan David Messenger. And it became JD because it doesn't fit on a name tag. So in the military, they shortened it to JD Messenger. And so I said, oh, I'm not doing so good, Dad. I can't walk and I'm in pain. And he goes, get your GD butt out of, he didn't say butt, okay, out of bed and just walk 1 minute. And I was like, Dad, I can't walk. He goes, get your GD butt out of bed and walk 1 minute. I'm like, okay, yeah, well, I love you too. Thanks, Dad. Bye. You know? So I got up and walked 1 incredible, painful minute. And then the next day I walked 2, and the next day I walked 3. So in 30 days I was walking again. In 6 months, the braces are off. My neck is fused, so I can't turn. I can't do any of this. Strange things start happening. Really strange things. Like one day I saw an angel float down in front of me. And you know how when you catch your dog doing something wrong or cat, and you, what did you do? And you go, and they turn their head away like that, right? You know what I'm saying? So this angel like floats down in front of me just like you. And I'm like, you know, turning away. And I look at this and I'm like, you know, and I'm telling you, beautiful, muscular looking body and an olive colored face and skin and beautiful flowing hair. You know, a perfect androgynous being. And I start to have visions and I see things that happen. I see first it starts small, like I see a funeral and then the real funeral. And then I have a vision that my financial system, my company is going to collapse, and then it does. And then they start getting bigger, like I see the energy crisis in 2008, I see the financial crisis, I see deaths, I see terrorist events, I know places where things are going to get bombed, who's going to do it, when they're going to do it, who's doing it, and I become fluent in languages I don't know. I become fluent in Mandarin in 60 hours. I watch my handwrite, not knowing what's coming. I'm not making any of this up, okay? Hey, you know, it would absolutely make no sense to make any of this up. Why would I leave a very high-paying, successful job to go around and tell crazy stories? You know? I mean, so, you know, God's got a real funny, the source has this real funny sense of humor. Oh, let's take an expert in global energy and turn him into a spiritual teacher, you know? You see, your pain is your purpose. Your pain is your purpose. That thing you're suffering about is who you are and why you're here. So for me, this left brain, you know, guy who's all about business and finance and systems, whose name is Messenger, that's my birth name. People always ask me, no, that's my birth name, okay? Isn't God have a great sense of humor? Oh, you're really funny up there, you know? So of course, I don't get this. I don't accept this. I don't decide to believe. I am kicking and scratching and dragging every inch of the way. I mean, I want to blow my brains out because I think I'm going crazy. I really do. And so what do? I go on a quest. I mean, I quit my job, which did not go over too well with the wife, and I go on a search. I become certified in energy healing and Reiki and hypnosis. I get past life regressions. I have healers work on me. I have gone off the deep end because I want answers. And I used to say this prayer. I had this sign hanging on the back of my door with Einstein that said, you know, I want to know God's thoughts. Everything else is a detail. And I pray to God every night, every day. I want to see through your eyes. I want to hear through your ears. I want answers, God, and I am coming after you. And I am not going to stop. And this is me. You know, I'm a little passionate, okay? So this is, you know, kind of like, you know, when I suck onto something, I am not letting go. Well, guess what? You know, my vertebrae regenerate. This x-ray shows how this was solid bone, 3 inches, and this one shows my vertebrae are returned. That's not supposed to happen, right? Miracle? There are no miracles. A miracle is this word we use to describe something we can't explain. There is nothing that can't be explained in a perfectly designed system or universe, and this is a perfectly designed system and universe. There are no accidents. There are no mistakes. A goosebump means something. An itchy back means something. Everything has meaning once you understand the laws of energy and the laws of the world of light, this world of energy that you live in, right? We manipulated the matter. We restructured the DNA. We reprogrammed my stem cells. And I can tell you more about that later. But doctors look at this and they're like, well, either you never broke your neck or, you know, that's a lie and your neck is still broken. But if your neck is still broken, how come you're turning it around like that? I mean, you know, I'm an anomaly. It's not supposed to be here, okay? I, of course, write a book in 11 days. It's called 11 Days in May, which actually isn't a great title, but it wrote itself. There was no title. There was no structure. There was no intention. And when I was done writing for 11 days, Mary Ann, my wife, said, what have you been doing? I said, I think I wrote a book. She said, what's it about? I said, I don't know. I haven't read it. Honest to God. I swear to God. I didn't know. I called up my agent, who's the agent for Neil Donald Walsh's agent and Eckhart Tolle's agent, named Bill Gladstone, obviously a very successful man. And I said, Bill, I've got a book I want to send you. He goes, oh, when did you write that? I said, in the last 2 weeks. And he goes, what? And he said, nobody writes a book in 2 weeks. I said, well, actually, it was 11 days. And he said, he goes, just send it to me. So I sent it to him on May 11th, 2 years ago, you know, May 11th, 2012, Friday night. He's in California, I'm in Houston. At 6 a.m. in the morning, which means 4 in the morning, I get a phone call, I answer my phone, and it's Bill. And he goes, congratulations, JD. He said, this book is unbelievable. This is going to be a spiritual classic. And it's 36 parables that answer little questions like, who am I? Why am I here? What is war? What is death? What is time? What is a soul? What are goosebumps? What are truth bumps? What is love? What is sex? You know, when I was writing that, I call it the wow effect, W-O-W, writing on the wall. Writing on the wall, W-O-W. So it's wow, get it? So I'm just seeing the writing on the wall. That was one of those things, and I'm just typing. I have no idea. I don't know more than 3 words at a time. And so the book was like perfect. It needed no editing, unbelievable. And of course, so we publish it, and it becomes #1 on Amazon and a bunch of categories, and let me see, it won 5 awards. And I get an inspiration to create a full immersion. You see, we know what inspiration feels like. You know that energy, that passion, that excitement, and you've got to learn to trust that intuition. So this is 12 years after breaking my neck, right? So I've learned a lot now. I've completed my journey. I've interviewed Nobel laureates in physics, slamming things together at the superconductor collider. These are all on my website. You could go on jdmessenger.com. You could click on the guest tab, and you can see and listen to the radio shows on CNN. You can talk to Francis Collins when I'm saying, hey, Francis, he led the Human Genome Project, 2,500 scientists, #1 genetic scientist in the world. I'm like, hey, Francis, can I reprogram my DNA? Yeah. Hey, Frank Wilczek, Nobel laureate who proved Einstein's formulas and won the Nobel Prize. What is matter? It's really nothing. Well, what is that? It's like pure emptiness. It's pure space. You see, if you take a microscope and go into your finger, you've got 100 million electrons. 100 million atoms. And if you go in 1 million times, you see nothing. 5 million times, you see nothing. You go in with a microscope, look in your finger 100 million times, you see nothing. Nothing. You think there's something solid there? It's pure energy. All you will see at 100 million magnification is clouds of photons and electrons. This is like the sonar dome on my submarine. It is sending and receiving signals and information. And the signals and information you received is based on the programs, the belief systems, the dogma you put in. Seeing is not believing. Believing is seeing. If you believe that you are surrounded by beings, which we are, you will see them. If you believe that you can heal, you will heal yourself. It goes on and on and on. So I'm going to come back to the message. Discover your purpose. Shatter the illusions. Unleash your power. You are energy, which is photons, which is light. You are a light being. You came from the world of light. You are in the world of light right now in form, and you you go back. Blah, blah, blah. You go back. And I can tell you stories and stories. We'll go about some of these things this afternoon. But I had 1 in a billion coincidences, 1, 2, 3, about 5 times about past life experiences. Unbelievable stories. So there's no question in my life that I've lived many lives. That's why I'm fluent in Mandarin in 60 hours, because I just remembered. You see, your body has 100 trillion cells. 100 trillion. And every one of those cells has now been scientifically proven to hold over 1 billion documents, 1 billion bits, pages, more information than the Library of Congress. You have 100 trillion Library of Congresses in you, Jody. You can access all of that knowledge and information. And when you learn how to let go of the ego and the mind and all the fears and all the pain and suffering and release it and get it out of your cells, when you believe you are a being of light and you can do great things, then you will do great things. There is no limit to your potential. You can write a book in 11 days. You can change your physical body. You can create beautiful artistic things. This was a vision, became my logo. One of the most famous painters in the country, Peter Max, saw it, and he was like, my God, JD. He's Jewish, and he lives in New York. He's, oh, my God, JD, that's beautiful. I love Peter. When I interviewed Peter, because I wanted to understand the source of creation, because I started creating things. I had this vision. This is parable 1 in 11 Days of May. Who makes things? Who makes things? It's 36 questions, the 36 parables. And the question was, because I had this vision of this game, and this was a dream, and this is the last thing I'll tell, and then I'll finish. So I had this vision of a dream, and it lasts 7 nights, and all I saw was the printing press going ka-chunk, 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 ka-chunk. And it was this, and I was like, will you leave me alone? I'm trying to sleep. So I finally draw the thing at 8 hours. In 30 days, I have a $5 million contract. Now, a little hint, be sure you collect the money from the contract, okay? Because I had a little bit of problem on that part. But that's not the point. I discovered, guess where Disney got the idea from Epcot? In a dream. Where did Nikola Tesla, who invented the alternating current motor and one of the most famous inventors, prolific inventors in this country, saw it in a vision? Where does Peter Max learn to paint? He said, JD, I just washed my hand. He said, I don't know what it's doing. You know? When you let go, this source, this omnipotent, infinite power, you are a part of it, it is a part of you, and you are co-creating, and there is nothing you can't do. So I get this inspiration, I get an insight. You've got to learn to recognize inspirations and insights, and then you've got to have the courage to follow up, and you've got to have the confidence and the faith. You've got to believe. You've got to let go, you know. You've got to take that leap like Indiana Jones leaping over the, you know, the blank space there. So I get this inspiration. Am I filled with, am I fearful whenever these happen? Of course, but you just follow it. So the inspiration was create a full immersion ebook. Now, I don't buy ebooks. I don't read ebooks. 11 Days of May has just been finished written. It's like a month later, and this inspiration is to change brainwaves. Take the message in the book and change brainwave patterns. How do you change brainwave patterns? I did a TV show on brainwave. That was another thing I invented, which it wasn't, these weren't my idea, okay? You know, I hate to say it, but when you let go of control of the switch, great things happen. It's just really hard. So you change brainwaves with music and images and sound, right? So I say, I'm going to make an ebook, which I've never done, don't even know exactly what they are, and I'm going to add music to it, and I'm going to add art to it, and I'm going to add an interactive feature. So I design all this stuff, and I basically say a prayer, Dear God, Source, thank you for giving me all of the things that I need, the music, the tools, the software, and everything to make this full immersion ebook. In 8 hours, I have it. A friend I know, who I didn't even know was an artist, and he didn't know anything about the book, emails me 11 pictures, and they are identical, unbelievable art to match the pictures in the book. One of the pictures on the flyer is a world of the world of form exists within the world of light. So this picture he sent shows this like glowing box, you know. A guy from San Francisco calls me up and says, I have a technology company and we're doing a startup and we want to put an interactive feature in a book, and we heard from a friend that you got a book coming out, and would you like to test our feature? I'm like, oh, man, you are good. You are good. It's unbelievable. So we put this together, and I say to the people, I said, you know, has anybody ever done this before? And they're like, well, why do you ask? I said, I think we maybe have created a world first. This would now be like my 5th, okay? And so they go, no. I said, no, I think this is a world first. Yeah, I think this is a world first. You need to go look for one. So everyone goes looking, and they can't find one. So they're like, we've never found anything like this. So I'll put this picture on the back, and it shows that this was a world first innovation ebook that integrated music, art, and an interactive feature and video. And so it won 3 world first innovation awards. I get an email, I think it was in December, that I was invited to New York City to this convention with 3,000 people to accept the, you know, Innovation of the Year award for creating this interactive ebook. And I'm like walking around looking at all the people. Never in my wildest mind could I have even conceived that I could beat any of these things, you know? It's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. So, so the summary of it all is You are this light being. And death is not the end, and matter is not solid. Time is a man-made construct. It doesn't really exist. And welcome to the world of light. Amen. Thank you.
I want to thank you for joining us today. I am so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask you to go to our website. Once there, click on the Contribute button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to the world. I would also ask you to please share this message with anyone you feel might benefit. Again, I want to thank you for joining me and the Agape community as together we bring joy to life.